Good evening. We begin tonight with a region that has become the most absolute center of global anxiety. A new and unprecedented flashpoint has emerged in the Gulf as Iran has reportedly halted all ship passage through the strategic Strait of Hormuz, the single most important energy artery on the planet. According to the Fars news agency, this move is a direct retaliation to the ongoing Israeli airstrike in Lebanon, which have decimated large portions of Beirut and southern Lebanon over the past 48 hours. But the response from Tehran is unlikely anything the world of international maritime law has ever seen. Iranian authorities have reportedly moved to monetize the blockade. Iran's parliament has approved a draft bill to formalize what they call a transit fee for any vessel wishing to pass through the straits. The cost $2 million per ship. Tehran insists that this revenue is not a bribe or ransom, but a reconstruction tax to rebuild the Iranian infrastructure destroyed by US and Israeli strikes during the recent conflict. The mechanics of this are even more radical. Payment must be made in cryptocurrency, specifically to avoid the very Western sanction Iran is demanding be lifted. While empty tankers are reportedly allowed to transit freely, the warning for everyone else is stark. Any ship attempting to pass without Iranian coordination and payment will be destroyed. For decades, Hormuz was an international waterway. Tonight, it has a $2 million lock on the gate. This economic bombshell comes at a moment of dizzying contradictions from Washington. Just 48 hours ago, President Donald Trump stood before cameras and threatened that an entire civilization could be wiped out if the strait wasn't reopened. But tonight, the tone has shifted from fire and brimstone to the art of the deal. Writing on Truth Social, President Trump announced a 14-day truce, calling it a big day for world peace. In a series of posts that have sent shockwaves throughout the diplomatic community, Trump framed the upcoming negotiations as the start of golden age for the Middle East. He stated that the United States will be helping with the traffic buildup in the strait, even adding that big money will be made. But for US allies in the Gulf, Saudi Arabia, UAE and Kuwait, this isn't a golden age. It is a nightmare. They rely almost entirely on this narrow 34-kilometer stretch of water for their survival. If Iran is allowed to permanently charge tolls for passage, this effectively hands Tehran the keys to a global economy. Yet Trump's language suggests he views this as a joint venture rather than a strategic defeat. However, the golden age is already being tested by fire. Just 88 minutes after the ceasefire was meant to take effect, the sky over the Persian Gulf was torn apart by massive explosions. Reports from main news agency confirm multiple blasts at the Lavan refinery on Lavan Island, a key facility operated by the National Iranian Oil Company. Simultaneously, explosions were reported on nearby Siri Island. These are not just random oil wells. These are strategic energy hubs located at the very mouth of the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian officials have remained uncharacteristically quiet about the cause. No one has claimed responsibility, but the timing is impossible to ignore. Was this a parting shot by regional actors unhappy with the truce? Or was it a signal from hardliners within Iran that they will not accept a peace deal on Trump's terms? Whatever the cause, the smoke is rising from Lavan Island is a physical reminder of how thin the ceasefire really is. As the fires burn, all eyes now turn to Islamabad, Pakistan. This Friday, the two bitter rivals will sit face to face for the first time since the war began. Leading the American delegation is Vice President J.D. Vance. Facing him will be Mohammed Bakr Kalibaf, the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament and a veteran of the IRGC. The talks are being mediated by Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who played a central role in pulling both sides back from the brink of total war earlier this week. But the baggage they are bringing to the table is immense. Iran enters these talks with a sweeping 10-point proposal that claims the US has already accepted as a workable basis. This 10-point plan is a list of demands that would have been unthinkable a year ago. It includes the following: the total lifting of all primary and secondary sanctions, the withdrawal of all US combat forces from regional bases, continued Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz, and most critically, the recognition of Iran's right to continue its nuclear enrichment program. The nuclear issue remains the ultimate deal breaker. While Iran calls enrichment a sovereign right, President Trump has been explicit. He told reporters today there will be no enrichment and that the US will work with Iran to, in his words, dig up and remove all nuclear dust. How J.D. Vance reconciles with Trump's demand for a nuclear-free Iran with Kalibar's demand for a sovereign enrichment is the trillion-dollar question. If J.D. Vance pushes too hard, the ceasefire collapses. If he gives in, the US-Israel order in the Middle East is fundamentally altered forever. For now, the war awaits. Oil prices have stabilized slightly on the news of the truce, but the $2 million crypto toll and the burning refineries on Lebanon Island suggest that the peace we are seeing is nothing more than a fragile illusion. What began as a confrontation between Washington and Tehran has evolved into a regional network of interconnected flashpoints where Lebanon, the Gulf, and Israel are now tightly linked. Whether the Islamabad summit succeeds or fails will determine if we are entering a new era of regional cooperation or just experiencing a brief silence before a much larger global explosion. We will be covering the Islamabad summit as it begins this Friday. Stay with us for more information. I'm Awesome Laddie. You've been watching the Global Observer, and I'll see you in another one.